The first thing you notice is not the closures themselves, but the silence they leave behind. Metal shutters hang frozen in mid-descent, dusk gathering where footsteps once echoed. Streets that used to pulse with voices and bargaining now feel anesthetized, as if the city itself is holding its breath. Walk long enough and you realize this is no longer a temporary downturn. This is absence becoming permanent. Welcome to today's Hong Kong, where disappearance has become routine. Over the past few years, the city has not collapsed in a single dramatic moment. Instead, it has been quietly hollowed out. One shop closes, then another. Then an entire street follows. No farewell banners, no last day crowds. Businesses simply vanish, leaving behind faded signage and unanswered for rent notices. What is being erased is not just commerce, but memory. The most painful losses are not the flashy brands, but the ones that carried history in their bones. Take Sun Yee Hing, an umbrella shop whose name was older than most modern cities. Founded 183 years ago during the Daoguang era of the Qing dynasty, it survived imperial decline, war, migration, and the transformation of Hong Kong from colonial outpost to global metropolis. The family brought the craft from Guangzhou to Anqing in the 1950s, eventually settling in Sham Shui Po. For generations, they made the same product, by hand, guarding a single tradition like a flame passed from palm to palm. And yet, after surviving everything history could throw at it, the shop could not survive this era. The fifth-generation heir, Yao Waiqiu, announced that Sun Yee Hing would close by the end of 2025. He did not blame landlords. He did not blame policy. He blamed himself, calling himself an unworthy descendant who failed to carry the burden left by his ancestors. The words were restrained, almost apologetic. But to those who understood what the shop represented, they landed like a funeral bell. A living memory of Hong Kong was being folded up, umbrella and all. Sun Yee Hing is not a lone tragedy. It is a symptom of something far larger. In just 6 months, more than 300 restaurants across the city shut their doors. Entire food streets collapsed in waves. A 41-year-old Japanese bakery vanished without warning. A dessert shop that had survived for decades disappeared overnight. A 33-year-old Hoi Wong Chow outlet quietly went dark. These were not experimental startups. These were businesses that had already proven they could survive until they couldn't. Most nowhere illustrates the collapse more brutally than Russell Street. In 2012, it was the most expensive retail street on earth. Rents reached an absurd 2.3 million Hong Kong dollars per month for a single storefront. Brands fought like gladiators for space, believing visibility here guaranteed immortality. Russell Street outpriced New York, outpaced Tokyo, and symbolized Hong Kong's unmatched commercial energy. Today, that same address hosts a mobile accessories shop. The rent? Less than 130,000 Hong Kong dollars per month. A collapse of over 90%. People still walk these streets. Lights are still on, restaurants still have diners. But beneath the surface, the math no longer works. Revenue flows in, but profit has evaporated. What looks alive is actually suffocating. For decades, Hong Kong's retail sector lived under a single invisible weight: rent. In many cases, our rent consumed 30 to 40% of total operating costs, often more than labor or ingredients. As long as sales rose, the system held. The moment revenue dipped, even slightly, businesses tipped instantly from survival into loss. The real danger, however, is structural. Shops in Hong Kong are no longer treated as places of trade. They are treated as financial instruments. Rent is not merely income, it is a valuation signal. Lowering rent means admitting that an asset has lost value. That single concession can trigger bank reappraisals, margin calls, or demands for additional collateral. In a highly leveraged system, one rent cut can start a chain reaction. So landlords hold the line. They would rather leave a property empty than accept a lower rent and acknowledge depreciation. Vacancy becomes safer than adjustment. While entire streets sit half dark, not because demand is gone, but because the system refuses to bend. The result is absurdity. In former luxury zones like Causeway Bay, rents have collapsed by 60 to 70%. Yet in ordinary residential neighborhoods, rent reductions are symbolic or non-existent. Some landlords even raise prices. The ones crushed in between are always the same: small, labor-intensive businesses with no financial buffer. Years ago, countless shop owners drained their savings to buy into Hong Kong's property dream, paying tens of millions just to secure a narrow storefront. Today, that capital has evaporated. They are trapped, unable to sell, unable to survive, and unable to escape. In the language of the market, they have become leaks, harvested quietly by a system that no longer needs them. Walk the city on a weekend now. On streets that once overflowed with people feel eerily underpopulated. Mong Kok, Tsim Sha Tsui, Causeway Bay, names that once meant density, noise, and relentless consumption, now feel hollow. Shop owners who have operated for over 20 years say they have never seen conditions this bleak. They sit behind their counters all day, watching the door, calculating whether today's sales can cover tomorrow's rent. Even during holidays, something feels off. Yes, markets open, decorations go up, but the atmosphere has changed. The crowds are thinner. The urgency is gone. Spending has become cautious, deliberate, restrained. One restaurant owner shared that a winter solstice meal for 7 now costs just over 1,000 Hong Kong dollars. It's not expensive, but it reflects how carefully families are budgeting. Another stall owner, as operating on Pei Ho Street for nearly 30 years, says business worsens every year. Holidays no longer guarantee traffic. Local competition has increased, while more residents travel north to buy groceries and daily necessities, splitting consumption in half. Seafood vendors tell the same story. In the past, families would spend several $1,000s for festive meals. This year, most budgets sit between 600 and 800 Hong Kong dollars. Lobster prices are at historic highs, but few even ask. Hundreds of dollars per caddy is no longer celebratory. It's unattainable. At wet markets, Paranas shop with calculators in their heads. Many plan entire holiday meals within an 800 Hong Kong dollar ceiling. Prices are only slightly higher than usual, but in a weak economy, every dollar carries weight. Some families still travel north, but with children, the logistics are exhausting. Crowds, queues, congestion, it all erodes the savings. Even when money is tight, parents still want their children to feel warmth, tradition, and continuity. That desire hasn't disappeared. What has disappeared is confidence. Compared with 2019, Hong Kong's retail sales plunged more than 30% by 2021. While headline figures have stabilized since, behavior has permanently shifted. Luxury food stores and pharmacies, once dependent on tourists, struggle to survive. Younger locals prefer online shopping, cross-border consumption, or experience-based spaces that do not revolve around buying things. The city increasingly resembles a stage set. Lights on, shops open, wallets closed. Tourism no longer fills the gap. Mainland visitor numbers have declined year after year. Hotel occupancy remains weak. 7 or 8 years ago, public holidays turned Tsim Sha Tsui and Mong Kok into human floods. Pharmacies and beauty shops thrived on mainland demand. That engine drove the entire retail ecosystem. Today's visitors are different. They are younger, budget-conscious, and experience-focused. They eat at Cha Chan Teng's or McDonald's, take photos for social media, and often return to Shenzhen the same day. High-spending tour groups are rare. The spillover effect is gone. By 8 p.m. in Sheung Shui, many shops are already closed. Foot traffic is thin. Proximity to Shenzhen explains part of it, but not all. The deeper issue is shrinking local purchasing power. People are not refusing to celebrate. They are calculating every purchase. Spending now requires justification. Meanwhile, physical retail remains expensive. A simple meal can exceed 100 Hong Kong dollars, prompting some visitors to bring their own food. E-commerce has delivered the final blow. After the pandemic, online shopping surged. By 2025, e-commerce penetration reached roughly 60%. Consumers adapted quickly, and offline traffic never fully returned. Declining demand, stubborn rents, rising labor costs. The squeeze is relentless. Even major players are retreating. In December, Manning's announced it would shut down all physical stores and its official online mall in mainland China, ending over 20 years of expansion. More than 120 outlets are affected. Members were urged to redeem points before closure. The final store will close in early 2026. The message was unmistakable. The mainland is no longer an easy growth story. For years, Hong Kong brands looked north for salvation. Now, slowing demand, shifting preferences, and fierce competition have forced a strategic retreat. On paper, Hong Kong's economy appears resilient. In 2025, GDP growth reached 3.2%, beating cautious forecasts. Stamp duty revenue surprised on the upside. Officials spoke of stabilization, recovery, resilience. But this recovery is uneven. Capital markets are active. IPOs and stock trading show strength. But street-level Hong Kong tells another story entirely. Finance is moving money. Retail is fighting for oxygen. Since the BNO visa pathway opened, more than 180,000 residents have left for the UK. Many did not leave for wealth, but for predictability. Civil groups dissolved. Public discourse narrowed. A quiet recalibration took place. Some openly acknowledged that the legal order and institutional environment of the past created a sense of security that now feels absent. It is an uncomfortable observation, but a real one. The lights are still on, neon still glows, but beneath the surface, an old engine is misfiring. What is fading is not merely business activity, it is belief. Confidence once lost is harder to restore than any balance sheet. Hong Kong is not dead, but it is undeniably changed, and the silence on its streets is not empty, it is speaking.